The signal. From beyond. The signal rippled across the cold emptiness of space, a desperate plea encoded in subspace frequencies that most civilizations had long abandoned. It was faint, distorted by stellar radiation and the vast distances it had traveled, but the Terran outpost on Proxima Centauri 4 detected it nonetheless. The station's AI flagged it immediately, a distress call of the highest priority. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the TDF Relentless, her dark eyes focused on the holographic projection of the signal's origin. 20 years of military service had taught her to recognize true desperation, even across species barriers, and this signal practically screamed it. "Distance to source?" she asked, her voice calm despite the tension building in her shoulders. "Lieutenant," Park checked the calculations. "Approximately 87 light-years, Commander, near the Perseus arm boundary. The signal originates from a system not logged in our diplomatic registry." Vasquez nodded slowly. "An uncontacted species, then. Interesting that they're using subspace frequencies. Analysis of the message content? The translation matrix is still processing, but preliminary results suggest it's a plea for military assistance. Something about an awakening and ancient enemy. The language structure has similarities to several known species in that sector." The bridge fell silent. The Terran defense fleet rarely ventured that far into the galactic periphery. Humanity, despite being a relative newcomer to interstellar politics, had quickly earned a reputation throughout explored space. While most species evolved on hospitable worlds with minimal environmental threats, humans had emerged from Earth, classified by the Galactic Council as a death world due to its numerous natural disasters, varied predators, and extreme climate zones. The term Deathworlders had initially been meant as an insult, but humans had embraced it with typical defiance. Their ships were feared, their combat prowess respected, and their unpredictability a constant source of concern for the more established species. "Gather the command staff," Vasquez decided, "and notify Fleet Command. Tell them we're responding to an emergency distress call from an uncontacted civilization. Request permission to deploy the battle group." 6 hours later, the Relentless led a formation of 7 warships through the swirling blue vortex of a jump point. The fleet emerged in normal space with shields raised and weapons primed, a standard procedure for unknown territory. Before them hung a small blue-green world orbiting a yellow star, remarkably Earth-like in appearance. "Multiple artificial structures detected in orbit," reported Tactical Officer Chen. "Primitive satellites, some small stations. No significant defensive capabilities. We're being scanned by multiple ground-based systems." "They've noticed us," Vasquez said. "Open communications on all standard frequencies. Transmit first contact. Package Alpha." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a slender, gray-skinned being with large silver eyes that reflected light like mirrors. The alien's head was elongated, with no visible ears and only small slits for a nose. It blinked rapidly, a gesture that the ship's AI interpreted as surprise or relief. "You came," the alien spoke, its voice translated by the ship's systems. "We are the Netheri. I am First Speaker Ilani. We feared no one would answer our call. This is Commander Elena Vasquez of the Terran Defense Fleet. We received your distress signal. How can we assist you?" The alien's body trembled slightly. "You are humans? Deathworlders?" A ripple of what might have been hope passed through the assembled aliens visible in the background. "The legends speak of your kind. Born from harsh worlds, resilient beyond measure." Vasquez exchanged a glance with her second-in-command, Major Hendricks. The Terran reputation preceded them, apparently even to uncontacted worlds. "We are humans, yes," she confirmed. "We've come in response to your distress call." "What threat are you facing?" Ilani's large eyes closed briefly. "It began 3 lunar cycles ago. Something beneath our world's surface awakened. An entity our ancestors sealed away millennia before we achieved spaceflight. Our histories speak of it only in whispers, calling it the Void Behemoth. It sleeps in cycles of thousands of years, and when it wakes, The alien's voice faltered. When it wakes, Vasquez prompted, it consumes, not just life but reality itself. It creates tiers in space-time, portals to somewhere else, somewhere wrong, and things come through. Terrible things that should not exist in our universe. Sensor Officer Rodriguez interrupted, his voice tight. Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the planet's southern hemisphere. Quantum fluctuations unlike anything in our database. Show me, Vasquez ordered. The holographic display shifted to a real-time image of the planet's surface. A vast, dark patch covered nearly a quarter of the southern continent, like an oil spill of absolute darkness. Around its edges, strange structures had emerged, twisted spires of obsidian material that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. The sensors struggled to provide clear readings, the data flickering with interference. The breach grows larger each day, Ilani explained. Our weapons have no effect. Our scientists cannot explain it. We are a peaceful species, Commander. We have no military, no defense force capable of confronting such a threat. Vasquez studied the readings carefully. Whatever was happening on the planet defied conventional physics. The energy signatures resembled quantum entanglement gone wrong, as if something was connecting this reality to another. First Speaker Ilani, we'll need to send a reconnaissance team to assess the situation directly. With your permission, we'll dispatch dropships to the perimeter of the affected area. Of course, the alien replied. We will provide coordinates for a safe landing zone, but please, your people must exercise extreme caution. Those who venture too close to the darkness do not return as themselves. Within the hour, 3 Wolverine-class dropships descended through the atmosphere, carrying a specialized team of Terran Marines. Captain Maya Reyes led the expedition, a veteran of 17 combat deployments and one of the few humans to have fought the insectoid Krell and lived. As the dropships approached the designated landing zone, a plateau overlooking the darkness below, Reyes felt an instinctive unease. Something about the writhing blackness triggered a primal fear that even her neural implants couldn't fully suppress. Remember your training, she addressed her team through the comm system. Unknown entity, potentially non-corporeal, full spectrum, sensor sweeps, weapons hot but no engagement without direct authorization. This is a reconnaissance mission only. The ships landed with precision on the rocky plateau where a group of Nitheri waited. The aliens seemed both terrified and awestruck as the human soldiers emerged in their powered combat armor. Standing, over 7 feet tall in the exoskeletons, each Marine carried enough firepower to level a small building. One Nitheri stepped forward, its movements hesitant. I am Coordinator Tavik. We have established an observation post here. It is as close as we dare approach. Reyes nodded, her helmet's external speakers amplifying her voice. Show us what you know. Inside the makeshift structure, holographic displays showed the progression of the darkness over the previous weeks. What had begun as a small anomaly detected in a remote region had expanded exponentially, consuming everything in its path. The obsidian structures had begun appearing on day 12, growing rapidly from the perimeter of the darkness. And these incursions? Reyes asked, gesturing to footage of strange, shadowy forms moving at the edge of the affected zone. They began 8 days ago, Tavik explained. They take different forms. Some appear almost mechanical, others organic, but all are wrong somehow. They attack anything living, but they don't seem interested in structures or technology. They're expanding their territory outward from the breach. Reyes studied the footage carefully. The entities moved with unsettling, jerky motions as if struggling to adapt to the physical laws of this universe. But there was intelligence behind their movements, coordinated tactics even. What's at the epicenter? Where did this begin? Tavik's silver eyes reflected the dim light. An ancient temple complex. Our archaeologists discovered it 3 months ago, buried deep beneath the surface. Against the warnings in our oldest texts, they entered the innermost chamber. And found what? Reyes pressed. A sphere of perfect darkness, suspended in air, held by energies they could not comprehend. According to the sole survivor, one of the researchers touched it. That was the beginning. Reyes turned to her science officer, Dr. Khatri. Analysis? The scientist was already processing the data through his augmented reality interface. Preliminary assessment suggests a dimensional breach, Commander, similar to theoretical models of universe boundary violations. If so, we're looking at an intrusion from another reality with different physical laws. Can it be contained? Khatri hesitated. Possibly, but conventional methods would be ineffective. This isn't just an energy phenomenon. It's altering the fundamental nature of space-time in the affected region. Reyes made a decision. Prep the Argus drones. I want detailed scans of the entire affected area, particularly the structures and the central mass. And contact the Relentless. We need quantum stabilizers deployed in orbit. As the team mobilized, Reyes stepped outside to get a visual on the phenomenon. Even from kilometers away, the wrongness of it was palpable. The darkness seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, each throb sending visible ripples through the air around it. The spires reached toward the sky like grasping fingers, their surfaces constantly shifting in patterns that hurt the eyes to follow. Her neural implants suddenly flared with warnings as a massive energy surge emanated from the darkness. The ground trembled beneath her feet. All units, defensive positions, she shouted, drawing her pulse rifle. From the edge of the darkness, shapes emerged, dozens, then hundreds of them. Some crawled on multiple limbs, others floated above. The ground, their forms blurring and reshaping as they moved. They advanced toward the plateau with singular purpose. Reyes activated her comm. Commander Vasquez, we have hostiles approaching in force, requesting immediate orbital support and additional ground teams. Whatever this thing is, it knows we're here now. In orbit, Vasquez received the transmission with grim resolve. The situation had escalated from reconnaissance to imminent combat. She opened a channel to the entire battle group. All ships, this is Commander Vasquez. Deploy combat units to the following coordinates. Cruisers Intrepid and Dauntless. Move to geosynchronous positions and prepare graviton cannons for precision strikes. The Relentless will coordinate the quantum stabilization field. She paused, aware that her next decision would likely be scrutinized by Fleet Command later. This is now classified as a Class X extraterrestrial threat. Activation of the Prometheus. Protocol is authorized. Throughout the fleet, specialized weapon systems that had never been used outside of simulations came online. The Prometheus protocol was humanity's final answer to existential threats, a combination of experimental technologies designed to combat forces beyond conventional understanding. As dropships carrying hundreds more Marines launched toward the surface, Vasquez addressed the Nitheri first speaker once more. First Speaker Alani, I recommend immediate evacuation of all populations within 1,000 kilometers of the affected zone. We're deploying our full capability, but I cannot guarantee the safety of any settlements in proximity to our operational area. The alien's silver eyes widened. You believe you can stop it? Vasquez's expression remained stoic. I believe that humanity has faced extinction many times on our journey to the stars. Each time we adapted, each time we survived. We don't know defeat, First Speaker. We only know victory or death. As she spoke, the first wave of entities reached the human defensive position. The night lit up with weapons fire, illuminating the twisted forms as they clashed with the Marines. The battle for Nitheri had begun, and the galaxy was about to witness why Deathworlders never came unprepared. Deathworlders unleashed. The night sky above the Nitheri plateau erupted with light as human weapon systems engaged the approaching horde. Captain Reyes stood at the center of the defensive line, her armor's targeting systems highlighting the twisted forms as they surged forward. The entities moved with uncanny speed, their bodies shifting between states of matter in ways that defied physics. Adjust targeting parameters, she ordered through the tactical network. Standard ammunition is ineffective against phase-shifting entities. Switch to quantum-locked projectiles. The Marines responded instantly, their weapons reconfiguring with mechanical precision. When the next volley struck the advancing entities, the effects were dramatically different. The quantum-locked rounds forced the creatures into a single state of existence, making them vulnerable to conventional damage. Creatures that had been virtually invulnerable moments before now exploded into fragments of dark matter that quickly dissipated. From orbit, Commander Vasquez watched the battle unfold through multiple data feeds. The quantum stabilizers deployed by the fleet had begun to show effect, creating a barrier that prevented the darkness from expanding further. But the entities already manifested continued their relentless assault. Science Officer Mendoza, analysis of the central breach? She demanded. Mendoza studied the complex holographic model generated from the Argus drone data. The breach appears to be a semi-stable Einstein-Rosen bridge, Commander, but with properties we've never encountered before. It's not just connecting 2 points in spacetime. It's connecting 2 fundamentally different reality frameworks. Can we collapse it? Theoretically, yes. But the energy requirements would be astronomical. And there's another problem. The bridge appears to be anchored by something on the other side, something intelligent. Vasquez's expression hardened. Elaborate. The energy patterns show signs of intentional modulation. This isn't a natural phenomenon. It's being maintained and expanded deliberately. Something is trying to come through, something big. On the surface, the battle intensified. Despite their technological advantage, the human forces found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed limitless in number. For every entity destroyed, 2 more emerged from the darkness. The defensive perimeter began to contract as Marines fell. Back to more defensible positions, Captain Reyes received a direct communication from the Relentless. Captain, this is Commander Vasquez. We've identified the nature of the threat. This is a controlled invasion from another reality. We need to strike at the source, the temple complex at the epicenter. Reyes ducked as a barrage of energy bolts streaked overhead. With respect, Commander, we can barely hold our current position. Advancing toward the epicenter would be suicide. Not for a conventional force, Vasquez agreed. But we're deploying the Titans. Reyes felt a surge of both hope and apprehension. The Titan program was classified beyond top secret. 12 soldiers genetically and cybernetically enhanced to levels that pushed the boundaries of what could still be called human. They were the ultimate expression of humanity's determination to survive at any cost. Understood, Commander. We'll create a diversion to draw attention from their insertion point. High above, 3 specialized drop pods detached from the Relentless, their heat shields glowing as they entered the atmosphere at steep trajectories. Unlike standard insertion vehicles, these pods were designed for maximum velocity and minimum detection, little more than reinforced shells around their precious cargo. They struck the planet's surface like meteors, impacting just 2 kilometers from the edge of the darkness. From the shattered remains of each pod emerged a figure in specialized combat armor, unlike anything the conventional forces used. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, the Titans moved with impossible grace for their size, each carrying weapon systems integrated directly into their augmented bodies. Lieutenant Commander Devon Shaw, Titan Alpha, established a secure channel to the Relentless. Titans deployed and operational, proceeding to target. The 3 enhanced soldiers moved toward the darkness at speeds no unmodified human could match, crossing terrain that would have been impassable to conventional forces. Their armor incorporated experimental phase-shifting technology of humanity's own design, allowing them limited protection against the reality-warping effects of the breach. As they approached the perimeter, sensors detected a massive energy spike from the center of the affected zone. The obsidian spires began to pulse with crimson light, and the ground trembled with increasing violence. Energy readings are off the charts, reported Titan Gamma, Lieutenant Amara Okafor, her augmented vision analyzing the phenomenon. Something's coming through the main breach. At the defensive perimeter, Captain Reyes ordered all forces to fall back to secondary positions as a wave of destructive energy erupted from the darkness. The blast obliterated everything in its path, vaporizing rock and turning soil to glass. Only the advanced warning from orbital sensors had allowed the Marines to avoid total annihilation. All units deploy shield generators and brace for impact, Reyes commanded. The Marines activated portable field generators that created overlapping energy barriers, just in time to absorb a second, more powerful shockwave. In orbit, the Terran warships detected the massive energy discharge. Multiple hull breaches on the Nithari orbital stations, reported Tactical Officer Chen. Their defense satellites are completely destroyed. Vasquez made a rapid decision. Move the fleet to position Alpha. Prepare the graviton cannons for concentrated. Fire on my mark. As the ships repositioned, the darkness at the center of the affected zone began to coalesce into a massive form. The entity that emerged defied description. A writhing mass of darkness with hints of limbs and features that seemed to shift between different geometries. It towered above the landscape, its presence alone causing reality to warp around it. The three Titans stood their ground as the colossal being fully materialized. Their enhanced minds processed the impossible sight, neural filters preventing the kind of sanity-breaking effect the entity had on unprotected consciousnesses. Target acquired, Shaw reported calmly. Deploying the Prometheus device. From a specialized compartment in his armor, Shaw retrieved a spherical object approximately 30 centimeters in diameter. The device hummed with power, its surface etched with intricate patterns that glowed with blue-white energy. Scientists on Earth theorized that entities from other realities would be vulnerable to forced quantum collapse, Shaw explained to his team as they advanced methodically. This device will create a localized field that compresses all quantum possibilities into a single outcome, non-existence. The entity seemed to sense their approach, turning what might have been a head in their direction. A sound like no human had ever heard rolled across the landscape. Not quite a roar, not quite a scream, but something that existed between those concepts. It sees us, Okafor warned. Tendrils of darkness lashed out with impossible speed, striking at the Titans. Their phase shift armor partially protected them, but the impact still sent Shaw flying backward. Titan Beta, Senior Lieutenant Victor Chen, deployed an energy shield that momentarily repelled another attack, giving Shaw time to regain his footing. "We need to get closer," Shaw insisted. "The device must be within 100 meters of the primary mass to be effective." In orbit, Vasquez watched the confrontation with growing concern. Graviton cannons locked on target, preparing to fire. The science officer interrupted urgently. "Commander, graviton weapons could destabilize the breach further. If we don't close it properly, we might create multiple smaller tiers that would be impossible to contain." Vasquez hesitated, then made her decision. "Hold fire. Give the Titans their chance." On the surface, the three enhanced soldiers coordinated their approach with machine-like precision. Chen and Okafor deployed specialized distraction devices, technology designed to confuse extra-dimensional perception. The massive entity's attacks became erratic, its tendrils striking at phantoms instead of the actual Titans. Shaw seized the opportunity, activating his armor's maximum acceleration mode. He covered the distance to the entity's base in seconds. The Prometheus device clutched firmly in his augmented hand. Around him, reality itself seemed to bend and distort, colors shifting into spectrums no human eye was meant to perceive. "Approaching optimal deployment range," he reported, his enhanced physiology fighting against the nausea-inducing effects of spatial distortion. 15 seconds to activation. The entity suddenly focused all its attention on Shaw, as if finally perceiving the true threat. A massive tendril of darkness swept toward him with devastating force. Chen intercepted the attack, his armor absorbing the impact but failing catastrophically in the process. The Titan was thrown aside, his systems critically damaged. "Continue the mission," Chen gasped through the comm as his backup life support systems engaged. "Get it done, Shaw." Shaw reached the designated deployment point, the swirling heart of darkness now directly above him. The Prometheus device vibrated in his hand as it responded to the proximity of the extra-dimensional entity. Deployment in 3, 2, 1. Shaw activated the device and thrust it upward into the core of the entity. He then engaged his armor's emergency translocation system, disappearing in a flash of blue light and rematerializing 200 meters away. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a sphere of brilliant white light erupted from within the entity. The light expanded outward, consuming the darkness without sound or violence, simply erasing it from existence. Where the light touched the obsidian structures, they crumbled to dust. The entities attacking the marine perimeter simply ceased to be. The quantum collapse propagated through the breach itself, forcing the connection between realities to contract. The massive tear in spacetime began to close, its edges folding inward until, with a final pulse of energy, it sealed completely. Silence fell across the battlefield. Where the heart of darkness had been, only a barren crater remained, its edges glassy from intense heat. The three Titans stood or lay among the devastation, their armor scorched and damaged, but their mission complete. Captain Reyes approached slowly, still wary of potential threats. "Status report?" Shaw removed his damaged helmet, revealing a face marked with subcutaneous implants that pulsed with soft blue light. "Target neutralized. Breach sealed. Chen requires immediate medical evacuation." In orbit, the sensor data confirmed what the ground teams observed. The dimensional tear had been completely closed, with no residual exotic energy detected. Commander Vasquez allowed herself a moment of relief before activating the fleet-wide communication system. "All units, this is Commander Vasquez. The primary threat has been neutralized. Begin recovery operations and prepare to assist the Nitheri with emergency aid and reconstruction." 3 days later, Vasquez stood before the Nitheri Council of Elders, the formal body that governed their civilization. First speaker Ilani addressed her with a voice that trembled with emotion. "We have no words to properly express our gratitude, Commander. Your people faced a horror that has haunted our oldest myths and legends, and you prevailed where we could not." Vasquez nodded respectfully. "The threat posed a danger not just to your world, but potentially to all worlds. Humanity responds to such threats wherever they arise." Another elder leaned forward. "We had heard stories of the Deathworlders, tales of your strength and resilience, but we did not truly understand until now. Your soldiers fought with a determination we have never witnessed. Your leaders made decisions that would paralyze our kind with fear. Humanity evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day." Vasquez explained simply. "We learned long ago that survival sometimes requires facing the unimaginable. It's part of who we are." Ilani's silver eyes reflected the light solemnly. "The Galactic Council has long kept your species at arm's length, fearing your potential for violence, but they do not see what we have seen. That same capacity is what saved us all." "What will you tell them?" Vasquez asked. "The truth," Ilani declared, "that when darkness came from beyond reality itself, only the Deathworlders stood against it without hesitation. That humanity's place among the stars should never again be questioned." As Vasquez prepared to return to her ship, she paused to look back at the horizon where the battle had taken place. Titan units were classified beyond top secret, the Prometheus technology unknown to even most of Earth's leadership. Those secrets would remain hidden, even from their new allies. But one truth would spread across the galaxy. When an alien civilization sent out a desperate call for help, humanity answered. And nothing in the darkness, not even entities from beyond reality itself, could stand against the Deathworlders when they chose to fight. The signal had changed everything, for the Nitheri, for humanity's standing in the galaxy, and for the countless civilizations that would now look to Earth not with fear, but with hope. Because if the legends of Deathworlders had taught them anything, it was that humans never fought harder than when standing between innocent lives and the abyss.